Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I was just reacting to a take from CNN's legal expert, Elie Honig, discussing the idea of whether Donald Trump's actually gonna go to jail. His take, or I guess his conclusion in the end, was probably not. It's probably not gonna happen. Of course, that was bad enough for the leftoids to absorb. They are so emotionally invested in the idea of Donald Trump rotting in a prison cell for non-existent crimes or crimes that he committed in their Trump derangement syndrome minds. But what if I told you it goes even beyond that? In fact, it's even worse for the Blue Anon Trump derangement syndrome dream of imprisoning Donald Trump. What if I told you a Pennsylvania state judge recently declared that Donald Trump cannot even be prosecuted over supposed false claims while in office, as he is covered by presidential immunity? Yep, that seems to be the case. It seems that there is already legal precedent that Donald Trump has total immunity in the bogus Fulton County case. I can hear the leftoids screeching. I can hear the copium arguments from 1,000 miles away. Let me update you on what's causing that uproar. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so take a look at this from The Hill, a relatively left-wing organization. Judge rules Trump false election claims while in office are covered by presidential immunity. Pennsylvania state judge ruled on Monday that an election worker cannot sue former President Trump over statements that he made sowing doubt in the 2020 election results while in office, finding the statements are protected by presidential immunity. Philadelphia County Court of Common Pleas Judge Michael Erdos said Trump's immunity covered a tweet he issued and comments he made remotely from the White House during a Pennsylvania State Senate committee hearing in November of 2020. The statement, made without evidence, claimed there were issues in the Pennsylvania election tabulations. Other legal proceedings may examine the propriety of his statements and actions while he was president and whether, as the plaintiff in this and other cases contend, it was this conduct which served as the actual threat to our democracy, Erdos ruled. But this case is not the proper place to do so. So here, Trump is entitled to presidential immunity. James Savage, a Pennsylvania voting machine supervisor in the 2020 election, filed 2 lawsuits, which have since been consolidated, alleging that Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and 2 poll watchers and others conspired to defame him. Savage says their statements led to him receiving threats and that he suffered 2 heart attacks. Erdos ruled that Trump has immunity for the tweet and the remarks at the state Senate hearing because both statements were made while he was serving as president. But the lawsuit also contains claims over a letter that Trump wrote to the House January 6 committee last October, which Trump is not immune from as it was written after leaving office. Erdos ruled the 2 earlier statements were part of Trump's official duties as he was speaking to the public on a matter of public concern. Here, then President Trump's Gettysburg remarks and his tweets were public, Erdos wrote. Moreover, the topic of these statements, claims from third parties and the president himself about irregularities in the presidential election, which on their face called into question the integrity of the election, whether now President Joseph Biden had been duly elected, was undoubtedly a matter of great public concern. Now, if you ask me, that pretty much wraps it up. We have a judge who I'd describe as more of a left-wing Philadelphia County judge, stating unequivocally, reaching a verdict, setting legal precedent that Trump, while in office, is protected by presidential immunity for the statements that he makes. That pretty much confirms that the Fulton County case, whether legitimate or not, whether Donald Trump actually did something illegal or not, which I don't believe that he did, cannot proceed in charging the former president of the United States. The actions that Donald Trump took, that he's being prosecuted over in Fulton County by Fani Willis, occurred on or before January 6th. Donald Trump was still the sitting president until Inauguration Day, January 20th, meaning he has double protection here. Not only does he have First Amendment protection because he was simply offering his opinion, whether truthful or false, whether right or wrong, he's protected by the First Amendment. Not only that, but he also has presidential immunity for not only the words spoken, but the actions taken as well. And don't take it from me, take it from constitutional expert David Rivkin, who's making the exact same argument to various different news outlets.
I think that this is a very weak case that's going to die very quickly, at least as far as being prosecuted in Georgia courts. You do have attorneys for Mark Meadows, who is Trump's former chief of staff, who filed a motion a couple of days ago to have a case transferred to federal district court, which they entitled because of a statutory immunity for federal officers, which is the case, obviously, with Mr. Meadows, as well as Mr. Clark, who was a DOJ attorney. So this case does not have And it's not just, David, a transfer venue to a federal court. It is also an immunity to which they're both entitled. And as I've argued for in an article for you a little while ago, President Trump has a constitutionally based immunity based upon the Supreme Court case that's called Nixon versus Fitzgerald that gives him absolute immunity for all the actions done within the outer perimeter of his constitutional duties, even if those actions were unlawful. So the Fulton County case is not going to.
And it doesn't even end there. According to Matt Gaetz, who was on Charlie Kirk's show not too long ago, Speaker McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, can supposedly immunize the president from prosecution through a committee vote.
You can actually bring President Trump in to give testimony to the Congress, and in doing so, immunize him. Now, there's different forms of immunity that take place at the committee level, subcommittee level. In some instances, for full immunity, you have to have more of a supermajority vote. But if you had a supermajority vote of a committee, like Speaker McCarthy could set up a select committee tomorrow that could bring Trump in and immunize him. And then we could proceed with the very legitimate investigative work that we're doing of the Bidens and the corrupt DOJ. Obviously, we're aware of the ability for any person to plead the Fifth. You can dissolve someone's ability to plead the Fifth if you immunize them. And so Congress has this ability that's been recognized. It's even laid out in 18 U.S.C. 6002 and 6005, if folks want to look it up. But there, you've got the ability to say, well, we're hereby compelling your testimony. We're giving you immunity for anything you say to us and anything that would lead to. And so, for example, if President Trump came in and said, I'm here to give you testimony about the witch hunt, the abuse of criminal process that Congress has legitimate oversight equities to resolve, and if he were to say things to us, we could immunize him for that conduct that he were to discuss.
Does it take a vote, or does it
frequently happens? But these aren't usual times.
Is it a committee vote? Is it the whole House that has to vote on immunization? And when was the last time this statute was used?
I don't know when the last time it was used. I can say it can be any committee or subcommittee that can grant immunities. So we could even bring him into the subcommittee chaired by my good friend and colleague Andy Biggs, the crime subcommittee. That has jurisdiction over some of these activities of the Department of Justice. And if Trump were to essentially become a whistleblower, you have to think about it almost like whistleblower protections. Trump, the ultimate whistleblower, potentially the beneficiary of congressional immunity on some of the information.
So that seems to be another avenue once again, and it brings me right back to the point that we always make. I don't know, it'd be nice to see the Republican establishment actually get off their behind and do something, again, play the game, the same game the Democrats play, because you just know that if we flip this situation, the Democrat establishment wouldn't even hesitate to grant immunity to their party's leader using committee vote. Just like they didn't hesitate impeaching Donald Trump multiple times over bogus, salacious claims. In my opinion, three things need to happen. The Republican State Senate in Georgia needs to follow through on their motion to impeach Fani Willis. House Republicans need to seriously consider this possibility of immunizing the former president. And of course, step number 3, impeach the geriatric criminal currently occupying the White House. 1, 2, 3, it's a clear mandate, get the damn job done. But I guess to finish up here, to conclude, to wrap up the video with a nice little bow, listen leftoids, Donald Trump is supposedly, apparently, protected by absolute immunity from prosecution. Keep coping. But of course we'll have to see how it plays out. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know that we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.